Hello again! Welcome back, all my favorite coder cats and coder kittens. This is Becca, as usual, going by Netcat or Netcats Meow, most places online. More often than not, it seems I'm going to be sticking to Netcats Meow. I recently had cause to register something, and it was yet one more place I couldn't get straight Night Cat. So I am just, I guess, going to forever be the Nightcat's Meow, because nobody else seems to use that. So, as I was talking before, we're going to be going through and trying to use this for for an actual data system of some kind. Um, in last week, I had set up where if you click different of these, you would be able to set different values that would be interpreted by here. And it actually does write them into the name and description fields of different particular pieces. But now we're going to get into how to actually use it to set up something useful. Something that it would be sort of like a basic RP HUD. Very basic, admittedly, because I'm not going to go through and design an entire stat mechanic system just for this video. Those get more complicated than you might think and wind up involving a whole lot of details. So we're going to do a really super simplified version. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to start off giving you a chance to put in a character's name, put in profession, race, city of origin, a few other bits of detail that may perhaps be important. And then we're going to set a couple of basic stats. Nothing super complicated. The first things we're going to want to look at, I already have, preloaded the text box here. So we're going to set it so when you click it, instead of turning on and off, it's going to actually set the setup into motion as though it was an initial setup of a new roleplay character. Those of you that don't do roleplay in Second Life, that's fine. This is the basic data you're going to, the basic how-tos you're going to see are going to work just fine no matter what. In order to control the toggle on that, though, we are going to add in integer char, which I just use as shorten for character, equals false. Because we only want it to process this way during an initial setup. So character. Ah, I see what I did wrong. Pardon. The reason, that was stupid. The reason that I'm doing this as a particular new operation is because we're going to be going through and relaying information into the object with a certain amount of routine. We're going to be filling in that information. And we're going to be setting up special listens that will respond in different ways based on what stage of the process we're on. So we're also going to use a string status equals name. Alright, when it triggers, it sets the status to name, which is going to be important in our listen. This simply makes sure that the listen will put the information in the places it belongs. So, status name, text box, you're going to want to restrict who it is able to listen for, or I'm sorry, you want to, with this one, you want to determine who it is going to go to. So since that's going to be triggered down here in the touch, we're going to have to preserve that up here. Key who, because this is going to present a menu to a specific avatar, it has to know who the avatar is it's sending it to. So with name, we're sending detected key 0, which is accepted as a variable key up here, which feeds in right here in the who, so who will get the message. And we're going to go ahead and put that on a channel. We could do a randomized channel, but for simplicity's sake, we're just going to use 0. It's easy to see what's going on. Remember, 0 is equivalent to open chat. Put that up here. It'll show up right there. If I do /0, it shows up just like that. If I do /1, you don't see it because the channel is... Channels dictate how you can separate chat information for different things. In this particular case, I mean, we've gone over this in past videos, but I suppose it never hurts to. But using 0 for most purposes is not a good idea unless it's something you need to have be seen out in the open. So integer chan, string, message, key who. If status equals name, then we're actually going to start it at none, because it occurred to me I can also show you about RP chatters. So status equals, if status equals name, we're setting object name to message. And because you're waiting to process that, that is why in here you will trigger the next option, which is going to be town. You know what? This is a fantasy. We'll say it's a fantasy hide and say race. So, race. Since this is automatically built to pick up the key who, this is whoever is speaking, it will transmit that there. Now, if I were doing this on a production version, there'd be a randomized channel, there'd be, you know, get owner all over the place. But in any case, you could replace the randomized key with get owner, and this would work just fine for that one person. But if you want this to be something to interact with, you're going to have to jump through these particular options. So that's why we're going through all of this. We're also going to establish integer ears. Ears equals listen 0, comma, who, comma, anything. I feel like I'm missing something, like I've forgotten a thing, so we're going to double check. Always a good way to go back if you think you might be forgetting something. I was. Key ID. So, channel. There we go. We're not so worried about the name of the person speaking, because it goes integer channel, string, the name of what you're listening for, key, the ID. We're operating by key, so I don't need to filter that. That was what I was forgetting. See? I tell y'all over and over, it's less important that you remember everything and more important that you remember where to find everything. Yes, and also has a channel name ID. That's the one I forgot in here. Forgive my boneheadedness before, it's just been a while since I've had to write a listen, so I'd forgotten a detail. It is integer channel, string, the name of what you're listening for, key, the key of what you're listening for, string, message. When I put it up here, ears equals listen, channel, 0. Name, doesn't matter, so just two quotation marks. Key, who, gotten from up here. Text, any, so just those two exclamation points. Or not exclamation points, quotation marks. I have had an extremely busy week. Oh my god, you people would not believe. Putting it in an integer, establish here, integer ears, enables you to turn that off. So when we're done with everything, we're going to be able to turn that off. So, back down here. So, Precious, I need access to my keyboard here, you silly cat. I love you, but you are silly. Now, we're going to set link primitive parameters for the second object. Here is where we're going to place the race. And then we're going to trigger class. And we're going to need up in here, essentially, the same kind of code. Race. Ears is still set to listen to the correct person. Text, who, choose your race. We're going to fill in a couple more details. These will go in the description fields. And they will be hometown, weapon style, and second weapon style. And in this, you could stick with link primitive parameters for everything. Actually, we're going to make that armor instead. Now we're doing a pretty good job of defining details about your basic fantasy RPG character. You don't really need to know much about role-playing games. If you've seen any fantasy movie from Lord of the Rings to Crawl, you have some idea what I'm talking about here. And you can probably figure out ways to adapt this basic information to whatever data system you need. And the last thing I'd fill in, since I did mention utilizing colors as part of your identifying scheme, we're going to do all of the color setting. Actually, this is going to be a pretty long video as is, just covering this. I'll go into turning colors into data on the next one. So, when all of those are set, however, made one mistake. Home. And then the flag for character becomes true. Why that is, I will show you in a minute. But we shall also don't need these. I did a small error here of not updating these. Alright, and didn't work. So the question was, why? What did I set wrong? The trigger. Those are actually not needed. So, we've hit one of my famous impasses where I've screwed something up, and it'll take me a minute to figure out what and show you how to fix it. Welcome back again, my Codercast and Coderkittens. I see exactly what went on is I mistakenly did a dump. And that is when I cleared out the stuff I didn't need anymore, I had mistakenly cleared off the section where I put in the correct starter code. I can be a silly kitty sometimes. So, all we really have to set is name. There we go. Enter name. Kalia. Okay, now I've made another mistake. It triggered all of the text box in a quick succession. So, the problem with that means that it after the first one, which then comes up to race, it automatically triggered the remainder of them in rapid fire succession. Which is interesting. Yes, it accepted that first one correctly. Watch what happened. Ah, it automatically triggered each of them. Okay. I can see what happened. I did not expect this. This is the thing. Sometimes code will behave in a manner that you don't quite anticipate. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make each of these impossible for the other to read. We're going to do that by changing each one to a different channel. Then, instead of running it by name, if chan equals 1, and the way I knew that it had read all of them in just one rapid fire thing, it interpreted each of these as, you know what, I have an easier way to solve this. I have an easier way to solve this. Right there. I've coached y'all to use else if several times. The reason that happened is because it was just if statements. It ran the first, it processed the listen on the first one. It automatically ran race who, which changed status to race, which meant that it was able to validate this one as soon as it finished running race who, because it continued to process the same input. Adding else means that it can't continue processing. It runs this. If this is true, then the rest of these are automatically discarded. It doesn't even look because these are else. So it will only go back through and start over at this point, the way I'd originally intended it to. Yep. Race, kitty. Class, coder. Hometown, Sec life. Weapon. What is my weapon? Coder power. What is my armor? Swag. Alright, and now Kalia is a coder from Second Life. The reason now, by the way, I'm about to show you why I had it make the name of the main prim is because it actually says down here, Kalia is a coder from Second Life. So, what we're going to do is add in a nice little else if Shan equals 3, say 0, message. And at the conclusion of the final listen, we're going to, when the character is true, ears equals listen 3. Ooh. So I got an R in there. There we go. Now we'll do that one more time. Okay, Leah. Kitty. Coder. Sec Life. Weapon is LSL. Armor is the Swagger. And now, /3. Did I enter that wrong? 3. It processes that, but why then does it? So I wrote this part wrong. How did I write that wrong? Alright, just did a quick test to figure out what it was that was not working on this. The only difference between my test and this normally don't have this much trouble. Ah, aha, aha, I see what I did wrong. Alright, when I had it as an else if, I never changed the status from armor. So it got to this one and it never looked down to the third one. That was my problem. But what that is, let's say you're in an actual roleplay environment, which is the sample I was using with this, is now I can do /3 and speak character dialogue. Another person won't see me typing that. They'll only see what comes out of the box. Becca, and speak character dialogue. That was why I was trying to show you that part. It turned out to be a wonderful example of remembering your else if. The very thing that let this run correctly is what was preventing this. When I had else if, since nothing changed the status here, status equals nope. Since that is not a actual previously detected status, this will work now. At least it should. Becca, race, kitty, class, coder, hometown, sec life, weapon, code skills, armor, catitude. And there. So, take this little mistake of mine as a lesson. When you wind up using else if statements, and you're using some filter to control which one is going on, and it doesn't work, make sure that you've properly cleared whatever your tracking selector is. Because that is what I was doing wrong, and that's what gave me a couple minutes of a hard time. So, now you've seen an actual practical application. You can create a HUD system that you can go through and set a series of values to start with, and it can process them to do different things. You could click it, and it will tell you that this is Becca, and that she is a coder from Second Life. So, that's just a example of how to go about using the data structures. I will go through and add a basic stat system to it next week, where I will give a series of things that go from 1 to 10 using the colors to track a bunch of those. You can even combine them for a few things, so I will add, a basic 3 stats and an HP system. And that should round out the database system. I hope that that will answer Echo's questions as well as those from any of y'all. So, with that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. This is going to run a bit longer than I had intended it to. And go ahead and wish you all a good week. As usual, videos try to be up by noon on Tuesday, Eastern Standard Time. There is always the Discord for questions. If I'm not there to personally answer it, there's a couple of other people in the Discord that know things well enough. They can sometimes fill in for me in that regard. And it's a nice little growing community. I'm actually very happy with how that's been turning out. I will also have a link to this as a playlist should you have just stumbled across my videos somewhere along the way and want to go ahead and follow them from start. A link to a playlist will be in the description. So I guess that's it for now. In the topic of trying to come up with another show for the channel, I have not had time to sit through and figure out what was wrong with what was clashing between what my phone can record and what my editing program likes yet. I have had an extremely busy week. Um, so I will get to that eventually, just taking longer than expected. So I guess that's it for now. As usual, good day, good week, good luck, happy coding, and